Yes.
Okay. So we have a rather going to manage that. Okay. போக மாட்டேங்குது. இதான் பார்த்தா இது இது அங்கே அதுதான் தள்ளுன்னு இந்த black thing is hiding, you know, I'm not able to see that. Again, hello, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, so the problem is about a single stage axial flow blower with no inlet guide vanes, but a row of stationary vanes after the rotor, and it runs at 3600 revolutions per minute. The rotor hub and tip diameters are 20 centimeters and 12.5 centimeters respectively. The mass flow rate of air is 0.5 kg per second. The turning angle of rotor is 20 degrees, that is change in relative velocity direction. The downstream stator redirects the flow towards the axis. Atmospheric pressure is 1 bar and atmospheric temperature is 298 K. Now assuming constant axial velocity through the machine, find the drive power assuming a mechanical efficiency of 0.95 and the stagnation pressure of air at the exit of the rotor assuming total to total efficiency across the rotor as 0.9 and a total and the total pressure drop across the intake as 0.25 centimeters of water column. The static pressure rise across the rotor. The pressure rise across the stator. Degree of reaction of the stage. So many things are there. So let us try to at least remember a few things. So it's about a single stage axial flow blower with no inlet guide vanes, but at the exit there is a row of guide vanes. The stator vanes are there. It takes air from the atmosphere at 1 bar and 298 K. The rotational speed is 3600. Then the mass flow rate is 0.5 kg per second. Okay. Many things are required to be determined. We'll just first find out the power, the drive power required. Okay. So here we may assume that the flow is incompressible as it is a low speed blower with small changes in pressure and Mach number less than 0.3. Okay, so you would have seen that some of these turbo machines, they run at pretty high speeds like 20,000 RPM, 18,000 RPM. When compared to that, 3,600 is really small. Okay, and we know that when the Mach number is less than about 0.3, the flow may be treated as incompressible. Okay, so this one is rather a blower than a compressor. Anyhow, some thermodynamic analysis is there. So to find out the drive power, so we have to initially find out some velocity. So first we find out the density. The density, based on the inlet conditions, rho naught is P naught by RT naught. So pressure has to be substituted in pascals. R is 287, temperature is 298, and you get a value of around 1.185 kg per meter cube. Okay. Now the velocity, well, density is known. Now we can find out the flow velocity CF1, which is equal to CF2, which is equal to CF, from the known value of mass flow rate, density, and annular area. We have the basic mass flow rate equation, m dot equal to rho A into CF. So CF is given as m dot divided by rho into A. Now, of which, what is the mass flow rate? So mass flow rate is how much? So it is 0.5 kg per second. Okay, divided by rho into area is pi into d2 square minus d1 square, or rather d tip square minus d hub square, then divided by 4. So 4 goes to the numerator, and this expression can be calculated, and you get CF as 22 meters per second. So very low speed only. In real compressors, the CF may be 100 meters per second or even more. Okay, so this is very less. Next, we find out the tip speed using the tip speed equation, U equal to pi dn by 60. So the mean speed given, at the mean diameter, that is hub plus tip divided by 2, mean diameter is 0.1625 meters. So we get the mean speed um, which is equal to pi into that d mean into n by 60, and the tip speed is 30.6 meters per second. Now, what is the highest speeds used in compressors? Tip speed? Anybody?
400 meters per second.
Around 400. Where is 400? Where is 30? So that is the difference. The blowers and fans, they are rather low-tech things. Still very much required. Every power plant will require all these machines. Many small companies must be able to, make these things. So now the velocity trapezium can be sketched. Okay. Yesterday we have seen number. Okay. Yesterday we had seen number of velocity trapeziums, which is nothing but the combination of the two velocity triangles. So here you have the common base um, the height is CF, so we know these two, and we know that C1 is equal to CF is in the axial direction, that is CU1 is 0. So that means I can construct the inlet velocity triangle C1 and um perpendicular to that. Both the dimensions are known. I can construct that triangle. Okay. Now I can calculate W1, the relative velocity at inlet, and I can calculate the angle beta. The turning angle of rotor is 20 degrees. So this is, the turning of the relative velocity. We should not get confused that it is about the absolute velocity. It is about the relative velocity, change in relative velocity direction. That is 20 degrees. Okay. So once you know beta 1, See, one thing is graphically you can construct the inlet triangle. Then here, with 20 degrees you draw a line W2. Then a horizontal line you can draw from this top corner. The velocity triangle is complete. Otherwise, if you apply your mind, you will know that beta 2 is equal to beta 1 minus 20, which is 54.3 minus 20 is equal to 34.3 degrees. So beta 2 is also calculated. So the complete velocity triangles or the velocity trapezium is now known. Now we have to find out delta Cu because the specific work is given by um into delta Cu. And this delta Cu is actually the Cu2 only because Cu1 is 0. So we found we can find out W. We can find out W2. Once you find out W2, then U minus W2 sine beta 2. That will give you delta Cu. Okay. So you find that delta Cu is 15.6 meters per second. Okay. Now anyhow we will calculate C2 also here itself. C2 is square root of Cf square plus delta Cu square. You get a value of 27 meters per second. Okay. This information will be used later. Now specific work is WSP is equal to delta H naught is equal to um into delta Cu. So you get a value of 477.6 meters square per second. And the drive power is m dot into specific work divided by the mechanical efficiency. Okay, so you get only about 251 watts. Okay, a quarter kilowatt. A small motor only is required. The machine must be pretty small only. Okay. Now, some of the processes that's happening in the blower is indicated here. Okay. Two sets of graphs are there. One is for enthalpy versus entropy. The other one is just variation of pressures. Okay. So you have initially the intake portion, then the rotor, then the stator. So you'll find that T naught changes or H naught changes only in the rotor, because only in the rotor energy is added and afterwards it remains constant. Before that also it is constant. But static changes to U into Cu or delta Cu. Okay, so that we have calculated. Then other number of parameters are indicated. We will discuss that as we proceed in the calculation. Any doubts so far? Are you hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to the next sheet. Okay. The next thing is to find out delta P naught of rotor. That is the stagnation pressure rise in the rotor. So you have to, get the isentropic enthalpy change, multiply it by rho, then you will get. But then we have the actual enthalpy change delta H naught state. If you multiply that by the efficiency total to total of the rotor, you will get the isenthalpic change. I'm sorry, isentropic change. Okay, so delta H naught S of rotor. See, that will come up to this not 1 point to not 2s point. Okay, so that is the corresponding isentropic change, that divided by the actual change, that is total to total efficiency for the rotor. Okay, so I get delta P naught rotor as 509.3 pascals. Okay, this can be expressed in millimeters or centimeters of water gauge. So pressure is equal to HW into rho into G. So what is that equation? Pressure is equal to H rho G. Okay, one of the fundamental equations in fluid mechanics. What is it? That is one of the basic hydrostatic equations. Okay. Okay, you studied and forgotten. You have the basic equation as dP by dZ is equal to rho G. That is the basic hydrostatic equation. That when you integrate, considering rho is equal to constant, you end up with this equation. That is the equation, pressure is equal to H into rho into G. So this pressure developed in the rotor equated to corresponding say water column. So for that, HW into rho W into G. So this, when you want to get it in millimeters, you multiply it by 10,000, 10 power 3. So finally you get 51.9 millimeters of water gauge. Okay, WG. A very small pressure. Okay, then the this is the one you get, but there are some losses. It is mentioned that at the intake there is a pressure loss of 2.5 millimeters or 0.25 centimeters. So the actual delta P naught R rotor, that is stagnation pressure developed by the rotor, is this total minus 2.5 mm. So you get a value 49.4 millimeters of water gauge. So that is the pressure I have indicated here. Okay, so from the atmospheric level, the pressure at point 2 is 49.4 mm more. So that is the stagnation pressure developed by the rotor. But you don't get that much because there will be pressure loss in the stator also. Okay, it goes down to P03, which is little lower. Okay, and if you look at the HS diagram, the H value is H0 is constant, H02 is H03, but when I draw a constant pressure line at 03, its value is less. Okay, so next, to find static pressure rise across rotor. So we have calculated the total pressure rise. We should now find out the static pressure rise. Okay, so for that, see, we use delta P2 is equal to P02, that is the stagnation pressure, minus the dynamic pressure. Okay, then you have to add the corresponding values of the intake losses, because this static pressure you have to take from 0.1 to 2. Okay, so you will find, so you have some loss here, then you have the intake dynamic head half rho C square. Okay, so from the total P02, you subtract half rho C2 square. Okay, Then with that you have to add this half rho C1 square plus the loss, that 2.5 millimeters of water column, as flow takes place from atmosphere to the entry. So totally you get a value of 37 millimeter of water gauge. That is what is indicated here. Okay, that is the pressure at 0.2. The stagnation pressure is 49.7 millimeters of water gauge. Okay, so this is the initial part about what happens in the rotor. In the rotor there is energy addition. In the stator there is no energy addition, there is only energy transformation from velocity to pressure, and inherent losses will be there. And as you see, the entropy goes on increasing. Next, in static pressure makes it guides static pressure rise. So it should be actually this P3 minus P2. Okay, so P3 minus P2 we have to find out. So we'll see how we proceed. So we first find out the delta H of guide vanes. Okay, that is equal to C2 square minus C3 square by 2. How we get this? For adiabatic flow, the energy equation is H plus C square by 2 is constant. There is no energy addition. Okay, so H plus C square by 2 is constant. So to get the difference in the enthalpy, you have to take the difference in the C2 square and C3 square by 2. So from this we get delta H guide vanes is equal to 122.5 meter square per second square. So we want actually the delta H isentropic. Okay, then if you multiply that by density, you will get the pressure. Okay, so so how do we find out this? That detail is given. See, these are losses which are very difficult to calculate from fundamental principles. So usually you have to think of an efficiency, and people get some idea about that from experience. They from experiments conducted and things like that. So here we are given that the diffuser efficiency is something like 0.75. So diffuser efficiency is this isentropic enthalpy change divided by actual enthalpy change. So finally the isentropic enthalpy change is 91.8 meter square per second square. So corresponding delta P is the isentropic change multiplied by rho. Rho, we don't calculate here the rho 2 or rho 3, we don't calculate. We assume that the density does not vary. Okay, and the assumption is valid because the Mach number is less than 0.3, and the speeds are also less. So finally we get the pressure developed as 109 pascals. So that also can be converted to the millimeters of water gauge. You will see that in the previous case when we converted, this Pascal divided by 9.81 will give you millimeters of water gauge. Okay, so separately I have not given the full multiplication here. So just Pascals divided by 9.81 will give you millimeters of water column. Then the pressure loss in the stator. So here also what we do is we find out the enthalpy loss. Okay, enthalpy loss and multiply that by the density. Okay, so the two enthalpies are known, the actual and the ideal. So 122.5 minus 91.8 into 1.185, that is density. So we get the pressure loss in the stator as 36.3 pascals. Now, if you remember about cascades, I gave you the two main functions of cascade testing, or the two main purposes of cascade testing. Someone tell me here.
Find interference from neighbors.
No, that is happening, but 2 points. So that is not entered, I think, properly. Anybody?
Hello. Yeah, sir. Sir, first purpose is to measure the actual deflection and deviation, and the
Yes.
second purpose is to measure the energy loss, pressure loss, and enthalpy loss coefficient.
Yeah, one is losses, the other one is reflection. Why they are very important?
Sir, that I don't know. Sir.
You cannot easily calculate. I said no. Anything, you know, our basic equations, you know, Bernoulli's equation and all those things we can get. When it comes to losses, okay, this is, you know, all these things about 1940s. See, now CFT code is there, point to point, they try to calculate everything, they may get. But in the earlier days, you cannot calculate. So only way is to test and find out, because they need this detail. They were developing air. There you probably it is the other gas turbines, the axial flow compressors used in gas turbines. These losses you cannot easily calculate. And what is the reason for the losses?
The friction and eddy dissipation.
Friction, fluid friction. What is the other name for that?
Viscous dissipation.
Viscosity. That is what losses means in fluid flow. It is viscosity. So you assume viscosity is 0 and calculate. Wonderful. There won't be any problem. No fluid separation, nothing, no losses. Okay. But in reality, viscosity is there, and that is the one which causes losses. Okay. So see, thermodynamically, you know, even your entropy increase, heat transfer at finite temperature difference, that also will cause. Not for fluid flow, it is not mainly that, is mainly viscosity. Okay, so so that there, you know, in the loss coefficients, there are pressure loss coefficients, there are enthalpy loss coefficients also. I have not you know, gone in detail there. So this, you know, delta H guide vanes minus delta H S guide vane, you know, this divided by that C square by 2, that will be defined as a coefficient called enthalpy loss coefficient. Okay, maybe when we have time later I will go to that. Then there is, you know, delta P divided by half rho V square, that is pressure loss coefficient. So here, you know, the enthalpy loss multiplied by rho will give me the value. And here for calculating, we had used this coefficient eta of diffuser. So this, you know, from experience, people give a value 0.75. Okay, now then pressure loss in guide vanes from you know, pascals, you can convert to millimeters of water gauge. You divide that by 9.81. So you get about 3.7 millimeters of water gauge. So that is the loss. Then so this loss will be actually in the pressure diagram between P02 and P03. So you have about 3.7 millimeters loss. Then you are asked to find out the stagnation pressure at stator exit, that is P03. So P03 is equal to P02 minus that loss. So P02 we have already calculated, 49.4. So minus this loss will give you. Okay. So this diagram will give you some insight into what is happening. The pressure, you know, from atmosphere, as it flows through the intake, there's a small loss. The value given was about 2.5 millimeters. then stagnation pressure increases, work is done in the rotor. Then again in the stator, the guide vanes, there is no work done, some loss is there, which we have calculated to see that it is around 3.7 millimeters. So final P03 is P02 minus the loss, which comes to 45.7 millimeters of water gauge. Then to find the total to total stage efficiency. So we were initially given the total to total efficiency for rotor. So from that only we could calculate what is the pressure at inlet and all those things, the pressure developed by the machine. So here delta H naught S divided by delta H naught for the whole stage. Okay, so delta H naught is the initial one from, that is from T01 to, or H01 to H02, which is delta H naught stage, that is 477.6 meter square per second. So that will come to the denominator. The numerator is this height, that is P03 is there, P03 is there, same pressure you extend the constant pressure line, it will cut the vertical line through N01. So N03 SS to N01, this height. So that if you calculate, that comes to around 378. So that is what I have indicated here in this. Okay, so that is the pressure, what is the pressure difference divided by rho of air. Okay, so entropy and enthalpy and pressure, they are directly related like this. So if you substitute here, you get around 378 for the isentropic enthalpy change. So these two, if you find out the ratio, you get, it should be percentage or 0.79 or 79.1%. That is total to total efficiency. Now, the last one we were asked to find out is the degree of reaction. So degree of reaction, directly from the triangle, you get, I may call it kinematics degree of reaction, because we are using the velocities. So it is W1 square minus W2 square by 2U into UCU. Okay, so W1 square minus W2 square, that is the pressure or enthalpy change because of velocity. So divided by the specific work, U into delta CU. So you get the reaction as 0.75. Now same thing you can calculate by the enthalpy definition. Okay, the degree of reaction is enthalpy change in the rotor divided by enthalpy change in the stage. So this enthalpy change in the rotor can be taken as enthalpy change in the stage minus enthalpy change in the stator. Okay, because enthalpy change in the stator we recently calculated, and total enthalpy change is 477.6. So 477.6 minus 122.5 divided by 477.6, that gives you 0.74. Okay, slight difference is there, more or less the same value you will get. Okay, so these two diagrams, say one is the variation of enthalpy with respect to entropy, so that also gives all the processes, both static and stagnation. Similarly, one can think of how the pressures, both stagnation and static pressure, vary as you move along the axial flow compressor. Okay, so so it's a little lengthy problem, but it's worth going through that. Many aspects of the calculation in an axial flow fan or blower is incorporated here. Okay. So next we'll take just this problem. We will not complete it. Some part of that we will discuss today. This is a problem. The following data: static temperature and pressure at entry are 293 K and 1 bar. Degree of reaction is 50%. Mean blade ring diameter 0.36 meters. Blade height at entry is 6 centimeters. Speed of rotation is 18,000. Okay, so previous case it was only 3,600. Now it is 18,000 revolutions per minute. Axial velocity 180 meters per second. Previous case it was only 22 meters per second, I think. So it's a real compressor. Work done factor, about which I have not discussed much. That is given as 0.88. So when I use that, in the calculation, I will explain. Then stage efficiency 0.85. Mechanical efficiency is 0.967. Then determine alpha 2 beta 1, mass flow rate, drive power, loading coefficient psi, pressure developed by the stage, Mach number at the rotor entry. Take alpha 1 equal to beta 2 equal to 25 degrees. That is, for 50% reaction turbine, you will have, a symmetric velocity trapezium, and obviously alpha 1 and beta 2 will be same. Similarly, you will find that alpha 2 and beta 1 will be same. Okay, you may recollect. So in this case, non-dimensional thing, the base is 1, the height is the flow coefficient 5, the top side is the loading coefficient psi. Then from the midpoint of the top side, if you drop a vertical, it will divide the base in the ratio r is to 1 minus r. So here it is 0.5. So this side 0.5, the other side also 0.5. It will just bisect the base. Okay. Now, can we? Okay, for drawing this, actually you need at least some 3 details minimum. So here the first detail is the blade velocity that is a tip speed equation you can use, pi d n by 60. So you get some 339.3 meter per second, pretty high speed. The flow coefficient phi is Cf by So Cf is given, is given, so you get 0. Okay, that's the coefficient. Yeah, you're not asked, but if you want to construct the non-dimensional velocity trapezium, you need this. Okay, flow coefficient. Then we can easily find out the angles. Okay, what is given is alpha 1 equal to beta 2 equal to 25 degrees. So if you want to find out beta 1, so I can write tan beta 1 is equal to WU1. WU1 is nothing but U minus CU1. That is what is here. So beta 1 is tan inverse WU1 by CF. So first you can calculate WU1, which is U minus CU1. CU1 is CF tan alpha 1. Alpha 1 is known, CF is known. So CU1 is known. So finally, from this set of equations, you can get beta 1, which is also equal to alpha 2, because it is 50% reaction machine. Okay, then you can find out the mass flow rate. Basic equation, mass flow rate equation is m dot is equal to rho 1 A1 CF1. As in the previous problem, density you can calculate from the perfect gas equation. You get 1.161. Then m dot can be calculated because area is known. So area, pi d into height of the blade. That is the equation used. So you get 14.18 kg per second. Now, for the drive power, you have to initially calculate the specific work. Then drive power is m dot into specific work divided by mechanical efficiency. So, specific work um into delta wu. See, remember, this is nothing but change in Cu component, which is also equal to change in W component. Okay, so here in this equation, change in W component I have taken into this factor, work done factor. So this is used in axial flow machines to get the actual specific work, because in the actual machine, whenever you have multi-stage machines, the inlet flow, that is the CF value itself, will not be actually constant across the cross section. So at the middle region, the CF is more. The other regions very close to the walls, it will be less. So because of this, the amount of work input is reduced. Okay, so to take care of that, this is multiplied by a factor which is less than 1, and the will go down number of stages. Okay, so the next part of the problem we will do tomorrow. Okay, so anybody to ask some doubt? Okay, so you go through that material. The first problem, though it is lengthy, it gives insight into how the axial flow fan and blowers, they are tackled. So I'll close